Welcome back to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Cataclysm Crew, issue 12, Lightning Strikes Back. On the cover, the minute form of Taranis, in a basic black outline and shading, is visible at the very bottom of the page. He is bent backwards, his arms thrown out behind his head in pain, as the rest of the cover is filled with a massive bolt of crackling white lightning. In the bottom left-hand corner is a silver embossed logo in bold letters, Blockade. We turn the page and our story begins. So, the next scene we see, we are in a industrial-looking warehouse. The panel cuts in, the description cuts in. It says somewhere in the heart of Midtown. It's a basement, but it's the first level basement, so it's not like a sub-basement. So we still have those half windows around the top of the room, And the first thing we see is Queen Bee's fist flying through the air. It is deflected by Taranis' fist as he bounces it back off. And it looks like for a moment that they're in a fight. And then we see that they are sparring. Queen Bee is in sweats and armbands and such. Because the way to harvest pheromones from a character like this is to get her to sweat and then essentially bottle the sweat. Because gross.
In mason jars?
I think mason jars might be a good tactic, at least to start. There's a weird assortment of containers. We've got a couple of mason jars. We've got a couple of those spray bottles that you use to spray plants. There's a wine bottle with a cork next to it. We kind of just got whatever seemed to have been lying around Crux and Reset's house. And they are sparring. Taranis, go ahead and describe what it looks like when you and Queen Bee spar.
Whenever she throws a punch and I block it, you're gonna see a definite you're gonna see electricity form a small shield on my arm. Whenever you see the sparks, whenever you see her hit Alan, the sparks pop off. You're gonna see it the word zap appear on the panel, in a comic book fashion. In the same, if anytime I make contact with her, it's on my fist, you just zap, 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 zap. And it just looks like almost a karate style sparring. You ever watched a karate match?
Mm-hmm. And at a certain point, the angle, it's almost like the angle of the camera has spun around. We had a close up of her, and then we turn, and Bruce is now sparring with her. And this sparring is far less elegant. This sparring is just primal and fist fighting, and there's some intense Bruce has a cut on his lip, and Queen Bee has a swollen eye. It seems like this is less sparring and more they're fighting, but they're still practicing, And this is more aggressive fighting. And then it pans again. And the next thing we see, the last little fight we see, is her fighting the mobster. And this fight is a lot of her dodging out of the way of these massive attacks. We're in a wrestling ring, and it leaves dents in the ground where his claw slams into it. We see just kind of a short montage of these three fight scenes, and then we see her leaning against a wall, panting, and her hand is down and sweat is just dripping off of it into a mason jar that Max is holding.
Can I add a detail to that?
Yep, absolutely.
I think Squire has a sponge. We get a couple panels of Squire sponging off sweat on the legs and then wringing it out over another jar.
Perfect. We see Traceless as well, and Traceless is sitting alone at a computer in the corner typing. Amber, you're not in either scene right now. Do you want to go talk to your dad? Do you want to participate in the fight?
Yeah,
where would you like to be?
Hang out with her dad.
Cool.
I'd like to get one line of dialogue for that while I'm still holding the jar.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Taranis, wide mouth, easy to screw on top, not such a bad idea.
A small panel, in the small text, you as he's doing something else, maybe toweling off himself, you hear "fuck off, Max," again, bleeped out.
Fantastic.
So it's F asterisk 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 off Max.
And Amber, you approach your dad. As you walk over, he doesn't look away from the computer, but we get a really lovely panel of him typing, and then you kind of step into the reflection, and we see the two of you make eye contact through the reflection of the computer. What do you want to say to him?
So I got the address from this computer hidden in your workroom, and kind of saw some stuff there, Dad.
He sighs and he says, "Yeah, I figured you'd find it at some point."
Yeah, it's kind of a lot easier to get in there when you're not home.
Well, I don't think I'll be home for a while, kiddo.
Yeah, that was a really awkward call with my grandparents.
How are Shirley and Michael?
Well, so do you remember that joke that they used to have where they're like, "Oh, haha, our son has a vague tech job he won't talk about and lives in Moon Harbor. He must be a superhero." Whew, that was a really rough time telling them the truth.
Are they planning on moving in? Have they gotten settled yet, or?
They're on their way, but I mean, I feel like she like gestures out to a window and she doesn't look at the window, but she gestures and a spaceship flies by.
I love that. He says, "Yeah, that makes sense. Look, I really did want to stop, but look, you've got college coming up, and our house is not exactly cheap." And he turns and he looks at you and he's like, "And if I'm gonna be honest, part of me missed it. I mean, after your mom and everything, I stopped because it was the right decision for you, but you're old enough to take care of yourself now, and I had to do something."
I feel like Amber's just kind of gonna get up and walk away here.
He starts to call out. We see like the text bubble with like like a dot 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 in it, an ellipsis in it, and then he closes his mouth. Then we get that same like close up panel on his mouth that we got earlier, and then he keeps typing. I imagine this whole like conversation happened in reflections on the computer, except for the one panel where we gestured out the window. The next thing that we see, it's a short time jump, not too long, probably 30 minutes or so. We see Queen Bee like icing her entire body. She's got like ice packs, and like Reset's there holding an ice pack on her. Crux is there like helping her to an ice pack. This is all in the background, and everyone else is standing around a computer that Traceless is typing on. Traceless is in the middle of saying some like scientific mumbo jumbo about how to essentially activate these pheromones. The long and the short of it is that if you supercharge it, you heat it enough, you can essentially make a vapor. And it's not enough to kill an Asteron, but it's enough to definitely mitigate the threat. You've got a fair bit of this stuff, and we're working on synthesizing it based on a sample, see what we can do about helping. But you've got your pheromones now, kids. I guess the rest is up to you here.
I say we find a water tower and place as much of the pheromones in it as we can. By superheat it from the bottom, and we let it out across the city. That'll deal with the Asteron threat, right?
I know where there used to be a water tower.
Traceless types a couple quick things into the computer and says, "Can't really get you to a water tower, but we do have the an access route to all of the fire hydrants in the city that we could connect you to."
So what? We put this in the water supply? What kind of effect will that have on the populace? I mean, we're just trying to stop the Astrons, not...
And if we can put it in the water supply and then just you can do your zip zap magic superheat thing, it might be able to blast out everywhere in the city at once.
Yeah, but I mean, what about everyone else? We still have to think of the people.
I don't think it would have any bad side effects for humans.
Bianca, Queen Bee over in the corner, is like, "I mean, as far as I know, the only thing that happens is they just kind of fall head over heels with me, but the effect is temporary, so..."
Yeah, Squire and I got some in our mouths and we've been fine. We had a sponge fight.
Alan's gonna turn and look at Bianca and go and says, "Can you handle 10,000 people all wanting your booty all at the same time?"
Bianca says, "I think I can manage to stay hidden. I did it for plenty long enough."
Fair enough. All right. So, where's that water supply?
Traceless types in a couple things and pulls up a map of the city. And the core access pipe for all the water is located directly underneath City Hall, where the city councilman's office is. The access route to get to that room, to get to that pipe, is in City Hall.
Sweet.
Alan's going to look at Rascal King or look at Max and look at Amber and say, I need you guys to get me in there. But once I do this, I did this on my own. I want to take the fall for this. They're going to be looking for me. Especially Saber is not going to be happy that we did this.
What's Saber gonna do to us? We're just doing their job better.
Queen
Can we get
Bee
a panel
across
of
the room again.
Max and Amber high-fiving?
Queen Bee across the room grimaces and she says, hopefully it's not as bad as what they did to me, kids. And we see she's in a sports bra right now. And all across her arm are a series of they almost look like track marks, just punctures from needles and scratches and that kind of thing. It looks like she was experimented on pretty hard, but she instinctively covers it up.
I want to point out that Alan has been during the combat and everything in order to not prevent from overheating from the fight. He's been shirtless, so every single one of his scars is visible from the electricity, at least on his upper body.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a towel over his neck where he toweled off. He looks at Max and Amber and says, can you please do that for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we've got a plan. Traceless, how do we get in?
And then we're going to get a montage of you all getting in.
Before we go, can we get a panel of Amber going to thank Queen Bee?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I think she's just gonna shake her hand and be a very sincere thank you.
The mobster is kind of standing off to one side as Queen Bee shakes her hand back, and Queen Bee says, wasn't kidding, kid. If you ever wanna hop the fence, we'd love to have you. And then we're gonna get just the shadowy figure of the mobster watching the whole scene as Traceless starts to explain what we're gonna do to get in. Basically, so what we're going to do for this bit is it's almost going to be a skill challenge in D&D. At a certain point, I'm going to describe the 4 steps or the 3 steps of getting in. And I'm going to have each of you describe how you help get past the obstacles that present themselves. So the first thing Traceless says is, Traceless is so the first step's pretty easy. We got to turn off the security cameras in the building. Disarm the gates and ideally make sure that no alarms are on so you all can get in without alerting the guards.
Sounds like a job for me.
That sounds like a job for you. He says there's a control panel that that people use to access the building. You could probably get in through there. It's at the main entrance, but there's also one right around the side at the maintenance entrance that you could probably use a little bit more discreetly. It might be a little bit more difficult, but you could probably still get in. So it sounds like we're jumping to the montage. Machina, how do you do that?
She's gonna go through the maintenance entrance.
Cool. So you're at the maintenance entrance. It's one of those metal keypad kind of things with an intercom on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a small screen where you could see numbers when numbers pop up. Go ahead and roll to unleash your powers to hack it, essentially.
Hell yeah. Oh man, good thing my freak just went up. Nice.
All right. On a hit, you do it. Go ahead and tell me what that looks like.
So I think we get a panel of she reaches out to touch the panel. And you can just kind of see the caption in binary where it's and a translation, and it's essentially just let me in. Okay.
I love that. So we see all of the alarms turn off on the inside. The spotlights turn off outside, and all the camera lights go from green to red, from active to dormant. And then the gate just unlatches. It doesn't slide itself open, but it does unlatch, so you could just push it open. The next step, Traceless says, so that's the easier part. The next part's a bit more tricky. There are guards who have guard dogs at City Hall.
What kind of dogs are they?
Couple Dobermans, I would assume. I don't know. I don't really study dog anatomy. You've got to get past them before you can do anything else. if they alert the guards that something's happening, then the guards are going to come after you, and the three of you won't be enough to take them down. And we're going to jump into the montage. Who wants to take care of the dogs?
Oh, I absolutely can, sort of.
Cool. How are you going to take care of the dogs?
I think we get a couple panels of Squire crawling through a vent or like ventilation shafts, but no mask on. Then like popping out of a grate and then just being chased by the dogs. Pulling the old
Perfect.
I'm a wild raccoon fiasco. That old classic.
Perfect. I think that's going to be provoking someone. I think that Squire's going to be provoking the dogs.
Do we have any team?
We have one team, yep.
Okay, I want to use the team because I want to have buried a bag of steak on the path that Squire is going to be running past, so that the dogs will get distracted by the steak. To put that at a 7.
Cool. I love that. So on a 7 to 9, they can instead choose one. I think they're just going to do what you want. I think the dogs are going to chase Squire, get distracted by the steak, and it probably buys you about 2 or 3 minutes, which will probably be enough time. The next step, there is a weight, essentially. It's like a, I think Indiana Jones trap. The like, if you move this stone and don't replace it, bad is gonna happen. There's a room that is weighted on your way down to this like pipe access. There's a statue in the middle of the room, and if you step into the room, it's going to trigger something. Traceless isn't actually sure what it's going to trigger. So we see you getting to that door and opening it, following the map that Traceless gave you. And there's the statue, and we know this is the room that is like weight sensitive.
I am going to I want to be holding the bag of pheromones. Alan's going to do this, and what he wants to do is use his powers and basically float across the room on electricity, just zapping as he floats across the room.
Cool. Go ahead and roll to unleash your powers.
Alan would fuck it up.
All right. So tell me what goes wrong in this room.
Alan's actually going to float almost all the way across and then just kind of lose his step, or maybe hit something that's not like crossover. Maybe because the room is weighted, maybe he crosses over a pipe that doesn't have any conductivity or something. And
well, maybe you drop the bag.
Oh, that's even better. Yeah. Or one of the jars falls out of the bag as I'm floating across the room and hits the floor, weighting the floor down.
Fantastic. So the jar hits the ground, and the first thing that happens is we get a panel as you're floating across, like a couple close-up panels of the bag. The jar is kind of balanced precariously. The jar is balanced even more precariously. The jar is tipping over. The jar tumbles. The jar falls. And it hits the ground, and it shatters. And the first thing that happens is the pheromones just kind of fill the room. And you get this just intense wave of, like, infatuation, and I'm not going to use the word lust. I don't think that's what it is, but it's just, like, this, like, love and adoration for Queen Bee. To the point where, like, you get distracted and start, like, lowering slightly towards the ground. I'm going to give one of your teammates the opportunity to help you here, however they think they can, to stop you from, like, fully triggering the room.
Yeah, I think Amber has totally been following him. Is there any sort of computerized panel, just anything controlling this room?
It looks like there are definitely some wires running through it. The floor is like a weight sensitive, like an electromagnet weight sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So you could probably do something with that. There's no like panels, but you could probably access it through like the lights if you needed to.
Yeah, I think she's gonna try to do that.
Cool. Go ahead and roll to unleash your powers.
Ah, damn.
Solid. All right. So you send like you're like trying to like trigger the to untrigger the electromagnetic weight, and in doing so you actually turn off the electricity in the room, which causes Taranis to lose his balance and fall. And his foot hits the panel, and then the alarms start blaring. And we start to hear the sound of like doors automatically shutting and dogs barking in the distance. It doesn't sound like you're getting locked out of the room in front of you. It does sound like you're getting locked out of or getting locked in the building.
Cool. Then Amber's gonna go in the room towards Alan and start like collecting the jars again.
Cool. Max, are you with them? Are you elsewhere? Where are you right now?
So is Traceless with us as well?
No, Traceless is not with you. Traceless said
So it's
you were
just
like,
the three of us.
yeah.
Okay, I'll be with them.
Cool. So are all three of you in this like weighted room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan wants to look at Max and Amber and go, you guys cannot be here. And as he's saying that, you see him charging his own internal electricity through his body. He's doing a charge.
Cool. Go ahead and roll for that then.
A mark of condition.
Cool. But you get a hold
Yeah.
2, right?
I get a hold 3.
You got your holds there. What do y'all want to do?
How much further is the place we need to, like, the access room?
It's literally 2 rooms from here. There's a room, the next room down has like a grid of lasers, and then you're in the room where the water access is.
I'm gonna turn to Amber. We can cause a distraction on the way out.
I have a better idea. I need you to leave the scene immediately. I'm going to make a hole. I want you guys to get out of here. I'll rush through to the next room and do this myself. You guys cannot be here. And Alan actually wants to, at this point, perform an overcharge. So he is basically pushing every single bit of his powers into his hands. And he is going to basically fire a hole at an angle towards a direction that would be out.
Great. You do it. You blast a hole through.
And that is 2 burn to take a +10 on Unleash Your Powers.
Yep, absolutely. You blast holes through probably 7 or 8 walls. It blasts right through the city commissioner's like main office, like city council chambers, and then also through like the women's bathroom. Fortunately, it is late at night, so no one is in there. But you've just like blasted through 3 walls, 3 rooms, like 6 or 7 walls, and you have a clear exit route if you want to leave.
Are Alan's hands still supercharged?
I have 1 burn left.
Okay.
And yes.
So Amber's gonna hand him back the bag of jars.
I want to then use my reality storm to turn and basically blow away the next room so it's not a threat anymore.
Cool. Describe what that looks like.
So I charged basically if you've seen Infinity War or anything with Thor where he does the Bifrost hitting, that's what kind of looked like whenever he blasted the hole. Everything coming out of his body. He grabs the bag with his left hand and with his right hand, he basically points himself at the next room, and basically energy flows from his like you see electricity arc around his arm and then just fly out of his right hand towards the next room. And you see like the bluish green arc of electricity just arcing in that direction, like a massive breaking damage arc, and it's a +1. I'm going to spend on freak instead of danger, which is great because my freak is shit, but that's fine.
Cool. Go ahead and roll for it.
Amazing.
Your electricity blasts through the door to the next room. And as it's like arcing through the room, the lasers, which were just like motion sensor lasers, start to heat up. And you can tell that something in the electricity has shifted them from motion sensor lasers to like the kind of lasers that can slice through flesh and bone. It does blast through the like next door. The next door is just blasted open, but these lasers are now moving significantly faster, and there's no longer a wall on either side to stop them from just like slicing through the air and damaging whatever is in their path.
Ooh, Amber's gonna like grab onto Alan's arm to just kind of like get a whole bunch of electricity, and I think she's gonna try to like overcharge these lasers and like blow them out.
Cool. Go ahead and roll to unleash your powers.
9.
Solid. On a hit, you do it. On a 7 to 9, you can either mark a condition, or I'll tell you how it's unstable or temporary.
I think I'm gonna mark afraid.
Cool.
I'm really worried about Alan.
The lasers supercharge and just like they heat up. You see them getting hotter and hotter. And then suddenly there's just like burst of electricity from the walls, and the room is dark. And in fact, the entire building goes dark.
Now's your chance. Get out of here. I'll
we
go
see
forward.
like Amber's suit light up.
Max and Amber, are you gonna leave or are you gonna go with him?
I think
Actually,
Amber's
before we do that, Alan, go ahead and roll to provoke.
Deal.
You can provoke Amber at least. I don't think you can provoke Max right now, but you can provoke Amber.
I think I'm susceptible to his words.
Okay, cool. So we'll say this is a provoke for both of you. On a 7 to 9,
I'm choosing carrot all the way.
carrot all the way.
Yeah, I think Max starts heading towards the hole and pulls out like a key fob with a saber logo on it and presses it. Like, can we hear the like bike start up out from outside?
Yes, we can.
Love it.
I think Amber's gonna like run forward and give Alan a hug and whisper good luck before heading out to go join Max on the bike.
Great. So we'll see the panel of the two of you, and then Squire comes bouncing up from the darkness and comes and like jumps onto Max's lap as well. And we see the panel of the three of you just like zipping out through the open maintenance gate.
Would that have been a comfort or support?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It felt that way to me.
That was just more of like a
Which
rush
moment
of
specifically?
The hug and good luck.
Yeah, the hug and good luck.
Oh, I thought you meant the like get out of here now. Oh yeah, good luck account. Go ahead and roll to comfort to support, Amber.
Look at that.
All right, that's a 6. Do you have influence over him, Amber?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's a 7 then.
Sweet.
So on a 7 to 9, they hear you. They can mark potential, clear condition, or shift labels if they open up to you. So right before he leaves, do you want to say anything? Or right before you leave, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, actually, as she's hugging him and saying that, he's going to grasp her really tightly and say, "Be careful. I don't want to lose you." Before letting go so she can run out.
Perfect. Go ahead and either mark potential, clear condition, or shift labels.
I'll mark potential.
Cool. Now we get the panel of the three of them, or the two of them making it to the bike, Squire hopping onto Max's lap, and the three of them zipping out through the maintenance gate on the side of the building as Taranis turns to the now open pathway to the water tower or water source.
So Alan is going to book it towards the water source and look for a place to put the pheromone in.
Yeah, I mean the water source, it's basically like a giant pump. There are a couple of valves that you could probably undo and like pour some stuff in through there. There's a area where it looks like you can test the water to make sure that it's clean, where it's like it's running pretty quickly through it, but you could like pour something into it, kind of like an open area. So you could like unscrew something, you could just pour it into the open area, whichever one you think is the right move.
I'm gonna pour it into the open area since that's being tested if it's clean, so it's probably already going to be headed out. The pump's probably a purifier of some sort, so I'm going to avoid that. Since I don't want this purified, I want this out directly in the aftermath. And I'm going to basically unscrew as many as I can, as quickly as I can, and just start dumping it into the water supply.
Great. It's all pouring through. It is all pouring through pretty rapidly. You get all of the bottles except for one poured. You pour it in. There's one bottle left when you hear a gun cock above you. And then you look up and see 4 or 5 policemen standing with guns pointed at you. And one of them yells out, "Freeze."
So I want to do another charge as I lift my arms.
All right. Go ahead and roll to charge your burn.
All right. That's 3 burn.
Cool.
And then I'm going to overcharge. And I'm basically going to perform a Vegeta, basically blowing himself up effectively. Not necessarily doing that, but I'm going to unleash as much electricity, most of it directed at the water tank, but the rest of it just in every single direction to superheat the room.
Great. Go ahead and describe what that looks like.
It looks like you see as Max raises his as Alan raises his hand. Yeah, no, Max, you're doing this. Didn't you know that? As Alan raises his hand, you see electricity literally like form at his core and just begin to flow through his body. And he says, he says at this before he does this and says, "I'm sorry, everyone." His hands open wide and it basically like a bomb goes off of just electricity flowing out of him in every single direction. And the next shot you see would be from the like a helicopter view almost looking down at the facility, and you see a large electrical dome emanating from it.
Great. I'm actually going to put a pin on that panel. The next thing we see actually is all across the city, fire hydrants like start steaming, and there's this like rust colored steam just like wafting into the air all across the city. simultaneously. And we get a couple panels of like familiar characters. We see missing Lynx and Sass like walking, looking a little dejected. Lynx has had a rough couple weeks. And all of a sudden she turns and we just see this like cloud of rust-colored steam coming up out of the fire hydrant. We turn and we see, I don't know, give me another character that I want to throw in there.
Can we get one of Amber and Max on the bike passing by some?
Yep, we get Amber and Max passing as the rust-colored steam comes up. And then the last one we see is a pterodactyl on a fire escape looking down as this like rust-colored steam comes up underneath it. And then we cut back and we just see this like overhead shot of the city council building in this dome of electricity. And then everything goes black.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets and TP Hugh, and edited by Anthony Sheets. Anthony can be found on Twitter at IcyNewYear or at IcyNewYear.com. T is the host of Incubator on Air, a new play podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. They can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter or at TPHuth94 on Instagram. Cataclysm Crew is GM'd by TP Huth. Rascal King is played by me, Anthony Sheets. Machina is played by Elliot Peterson. She can be found at Elliot Yulin on Instagram. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. The music in this issue is Mistake the Getaway by Kevin MacLeod. A link to his website and the license will be in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on iTunes and tell a friend. Word of mouth and 5-star reviews are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. And thanks for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.